You've been doing all the research for your upcoming Walt Disney World trip. Now, how in the world do you put it all together? I've got you covered. You ready? Let's go. When it comes to trying to decide which park you want to visit on which day, there are some things that need to be the decision needs to be made simultaneously. So I'm going to take you through the most important things that you need to be thinking about, and then also by park, according to what you want to see and do, the strategies that you want to use, just all of these things combined to help you make for a more seamless vacation. If you are visiting in the months of August, September, October, November, and December, the number one thing that you need to do is check to see when the holiday parties are. So for August, September, and October, you will come across Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party. For November and December, you will come across Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party. And the reason why this is important is because on these nights in Magic Kingdom will close early, basically cutting the day in half, and you will not be able to see and do everything that Magic Kingdom has to offer. There are two sides to this coin. Whenever you are visiting Magic Kingdom on a party night, it is actually a really good time to be in Magic Kingdom because the ride waits are normally on the lower side because Magic Kingdom closes at 6 p.m. On the flip side of that, if you only have one Magic Kingdom day and you want to see the new nighttime parade and you want to see the nighttime fireworks, then you need to be in Magic Kingdom on a night that does not have a party. So as you are looking at your schedule, you need to be looking at when the dates are for those holiday parties. For Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party, we usually know the dates, I'm going to say to be safe, by May. And then for Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party and also Jollywood Nights in Hollywood Studios, those dates, to be safe, I'm going to say that we're going to know those by about mid-July. Every trip that I take to Walt Disney World, whether it be by myself or with family, always starts in a notebook. And yes, I do decorate it. I really like to have just a rough draft and just to be able to jot down all of my notes, and then the closer that I get to my trip are whenever I start really using my printables and really finalizing all of the details. But whenever I start and I know my dates and I get that reservation set, then I put those in the notebook and start jotting down all of the announcements that are made throughout the planning period of my trip, whether that be if rides are going down, if something new is going to be opening, if the park is going to be closing early. Sometimes we know these way ahead in advance. So those are the things that I am jotting down in that notebook in the planning process. And make sure that you follow me on Instagram because I keep you up to date on everything that happens in real time, all the new announcements, all the closings, refurbishments, and all of that. The second most important thing I would say to help dictate what park you should visit on what day is if you have any special requests. So if dining reservations are top of your list, or any special experiences like Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique or building a lightsaber in Hollywood Studios, if those are your top things, then I would schedule your park days around when you can actually get those reservations. When it comes to dining reservations, this tip is mainly going to be for those that are staying on site, because you're able to make your reservation 60 days out from your arrival day up to 10 days out. Whereas if you are an off-site guest, you have to make your dining reservations every 60 days from the date that you actually want the reservation. So whenever it's time to wake up on your 60-day morning at 6 a.m. Eastern Time, whenever you go into the app, you are able to put in the search bar the specific dining location that you want, and you're actually able to now pick a time frame from this date to this date, and then it's going to be able to show you a list throughout your date range of what has availability. Now, whenever you first go into the app and you put in when you want to eat, it's going to give you a calendar, and green dots are going to be underneath each of the dates, and that's letting you know that there are reservations available. However, it does not specify breakfast, lunch, or dinner. So if you are, let's take Ohana for example, breakfast is the one that books up the quickest because that is the character dining breakfast, and that is what most people are going for. So even though you put Ohana in the search bar, whenever you come to the calendar, it's going to show that there's all of these green dots with availability, but then the next step, you need to go in and actually put in the time frame that you want to eat. And if you put in the breakfast time frame, then you're going to see that there aren't any dining reservations available. available. So just know that you need to take the step further to actually go in, do your date range and the time frame to see the reservations at a glance for the time frame that you made. So if getting dining reservations does dictate the park that you're going to be visiting that day, and if you make reservations for a table service restaurant that is outside of the park that you are visiting, then make sure that you are trying to do the closest park to that dining location. So for example, if you want to dine at Chef Mickey's, at 1900 Park Fair, at Ohana, that is on the monorail loop. So having your Magic Kingdom day or your Epcot day would be ideal because those are quick and easy transportations to get to that dining reservation and then get yourself back to the park. If you are thinking about dining at Topolino's Terrace, there's character dining there in the morning time. Then making your Hollywood Studios day or your Epcot day would be ideal because it is a hop, skip, and a jump on the Skyliner to get to Disney's Riviera Resort, which is where Topolino's Terrace is. If you are making a dining reservation that is outside a park and you have to use the Disney bus to get there, just know that you need to map out almost 2 hours of travel time there and back to get there, have the dining experience, and then to get back. And that is a lot of time taken out of your day. So again, as you are looking at what dining experiences that you want, try to get them the closest to the park that you're going to be visiting on that specific day. We are now getting to the point to where that there are decisions that need to be made and looked at simultaneously as you are trying to decide what park on what day. Things that you want to be looking at and thinking about are park hours. If you are going to rope drop, try to get ahead of the crowd and like rope drop those single pass rides so you don't have to pay for single pass. Next is, can you stay late in the parks? Next is if you are using single pass and multi-pass. So we're going to break this down by park. But first let's go over like things that I want you to be thinking about as you are looking at park hours. Park hours are released about 10 weeks out from the date that you are looking. And whenever they are released, they're just going to be a blanket set of hours, and these will change the closer you get to your dates. So whenever you first look at that 10-week mark, you're going to see that Magic Kingdom, Hollywood Studios, and Epcot is just a 9 to 9. And then usually Disney's Animal Kingdom is usually an 8 to a 6 p.m. That is just like the blanket time frame that they're putting out. At that 10-week mark, the number one thing that you are looking at is to make sure none of those parks close early. There are times, it's a rarity, but Hollywood Studios and Epcot can possibly be rented out and close super early. Again, that's usually a rare occurrence, but this is what you are checking for at that 10-week mark out. The second thing that you want to be looking for at this 10-week out is if you are staying at a Deluxe Resort hotel, they have something called extended evening hours. You're able to take advantage of being in certain parks on certain nights later than everybody else. And it's basically like having the park to yourself, and you're able to get on rides like walk on. So that is something else that you want to like put into your calendar and your notebook. Also, when you are making your dining reservations, all of the hours are not yet posted. So right at that 10-week mark, you are looking at if after you got your dining reservations and if you're going to be in a park on a certain day, you're just making sure that everything looks good. Like that certain park that you have dining reservations in doesn't close early, so you have enough time to move things around like dining reservations and stuff like that. So that is what you are looking for at that 10-week mark. I also usually check again at the 30-day mark before I arrive. 9 times out of 10, nothing is going to change. But you do want to check again at that 2 weeks before you arrive, because if you are going at a high peak season, those park hours will change. If you are using Multipass and or Singlepass for your trip, know that it kind of works like dining reservations. So the further out that you put a park, the better return times you're going to get in that pre-booking process. So if you have rides that you absolutely have to get with Singlepass or Multipass, then put those parks towards the end of your trip for better chances at earlier return times. Now, it is not impossible that if you get later return times to move them up, and I do have a full playlist of how to use Singlepass and Multipass in the parks, and I'll leave that listed in the description box below. But just know that these are just like really itty bitty small details to be thinking about. If like a certain ride is like absolutely top of the list, you have to have it. And as I am going park by park, there are 3 other things that I need for you to ask yourself and to keep in mind. Do you need a sleep-in day? Are you going to rope drop any of the parks so that you can get a jump on like the most popular rides with lower wait times? And can you stay in the parks late? So let's go park by park. If you want or need sleep-in days on your trip, I do think right now that Disney's Animal Kingdom and Epcot can be your sleep-in day and still be able to get everything on your to-do list done. If you do decide that you want to have those as your sleep-in days, I do think that SinglePass is a very good investment in those parks when it comes to riding the most popular ride. And right now in Epcot, that is Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind. And then in Disney's Animal Kingdom, that is Flight of Passage. When it comes to checking park hours at that 2-week mark before you arrive, know that Epcot specifically's hours rarely change. It's pretty much 9 to 9 across the board. Every once in a while in a really high peak season, you'll see it close at 9:30. But whenever you are looking at like the different strategies that you want to use, know that you're pretty safe when it comes to Epcot. With Disney's Animal Kingdom though, those hours do change depending on if it's during the winter or not. And also whenever it is a very high peak season, then you'll see Animal Kingdom close at like 7 or 8 at the absolute latest, sometimes opening at 7 a.m. So if you are looking at Animal Kingdom specifically, and if you are going to spend like a half day there, make sure that you're checking for the hours in the morning. If you're going to try and rope drop, just make sure that the hours haven't changed on you. And then if you decide to pick Animal Kingdom as a sleep-in day, know that the later in the day that you go, the better and the shorter the wait times are going to be. And they really are. I'm not going to say walk on, but compared to, you know, like those 45 minutes, 60-minute waits, you're going to look at like 30 minutes and under. Flight of Passage is the one ride. Sometimes Navi River will be the ones that stay at that higher wait time. So that is why I say that investing in SinglePass for Epcot and Disney's Animal Kingdom are a good investment, especially if you're going to use them as your sleep-in days. When it comes to Hollywood Studios, if your plan is to rope drop Hollywood Studios and you are staying on site, then I would absolutely make sure that you are there early. 99.9% of the time, Hollywood Studios will open earlier than early entry. It could be 10 minutes, it could be 20 minutes, it could be an hour. I have been there on Christmas morning when the park opened an hour before early entry, and my son, his now wife, and I were able to get 5 rides done before the park even officially opened on that day. And we were heading out of the park to go to breakfast while everybody was heading into the park. So when it comes to Hollywood Studios specifically, you are making sure at that 2-week mark that you are checking the times to make sure that nothing has been added to the beginning of the day. It's usually like 30 minutes or anything added to later at night. And it's usually like 9 or 9:30 is usually the latest that you will see Hollywood Studios close. Now for Magic Kingdom, the park with the most to see and do. At that 2-week mark before you arrive, you need to make sure that the park hours have not changed. They will add hours to the beginning of the day. They will also add hours to the end of the day. So if they add hours to the beginning of the day, again, if you are staying on site and you are rope dropping and you are trying to get in for early entry, you just want to make sure that you are there at the right time to be able to get a jump and get into the park before the rest of the guests. So that's the main thing that you're looking for, that you know exactly what time you need to do like your backwards math. Okay, I need to get up at this time, we need to be out the door at this time, I need to be at the bus stop at this time, you know, that kind of thing. Whenever it comes to the end of the night, if you are traveling during a peak season, this is going to be, let's say, spring break, 4th of July, Thanksgiving week, Christmas week, New Year's week, then the park will close at either 10, 11, or 12. Now, we have not seen how just yet the new parade is going to affect the hours and how it is going to change the times of things just yet. So The reason why I say this is because usually after fireworks in Magic Kingdom, if Magic Kingdom closes at 10 or 11 or 12, after that time, that is whenever it is a very good time to be in Magic Kingdom to get rides done. So if you have the ability to be able to stay up late, know that after fireworks, after that second nighttime parade until the park closes, you're going to be able to get quite a bit done. A few other small details to think about whenever you're trying to put your days in order. If you only have room in the budget for just some of the days to have either multi-pass or single pass, make your first day the park that you're not going to purchase multi-pass or single pass for. It's your first day. Everybody's excited. Everybody's raring to go. They're going to be up and wanting to rope drop, number one, and just, have good spirits and being excited about being there, waiting in lines and that kind of thing. And then from there, you can have a sleep-in day, kind of slower. And then as you can tell that the family's getting a little bit tired, especially if it's during a warm season, the energy's a little bit lower, knowing that you have multi-pass or single pass for later in the week, you're able to just really go with the flow and let the paid for services work for you. So just another thing to be thinking about whenever you're putting your park days in order. Now that I've given you all the things to think about, I'm going to give you an example of how I put a trip together during Christmas week with my son and his now wife a couple of years ago. It has a lot of components to it just for you to be able to see different scenarios that you can put together. So going into this trip, we were there for 4 days, for very fast and a whirlwind of a trip. We did stay at a deluxe resort, so we also had the availability to be able to be in Epcot for extended evening hours. I also tried very hard not to purchase, and I did not have to, any skip the line services. So the first step that I did is I wrote down our dates for our trip. We had our arrival day, we had our departure day, and then I knew, because the 26th is my birthday, I knew that I wanted reservations and I wanted a princess reservation. So that dictated that Akershus, whenever I got it, that we were in Epcot on this day. Next thing that I looked at, so this particular trip, we were staying at a deluxe resort and we stayed at Disney's Animal Kingdom Lodge. And on the calendar, we had Epcot's extended evening hours on one day and Animal Kingdom's extended evening hours on another day. And I wanted to take advantage of these two because I was on a personal goal of mine to not purchase at the time Genie Plus on this trip. Like I said, I wanted to challenge myself and see if I could do it during the week of Christmas, and I did it. The next thing I did was ask my son and his now wife what they wanted to do, what are the rides that they wanted to do. Once I got that list, I knew that, so in Magic Kingdom, they gave me their list for Magic Kingdom. Since we had the availability to be able to park hop, since we had park hopping tickets and Magic Kingdom closed late each night this week, I knew that we could be in Magic Kingdom late. So I made it to where that's where we were every evening to knock out between 3 and 5 rides to knock out their list. Hollywood Studios is my son's favorite park because of Galaxy's Edge. He's a diehard Star Wars fan. And I knew that if we rope dropped Hollywood Studios on that first day, because it was fresh, I knew that they would be excited. I knew that they would be ready to get up and get going early, that we could get and knock out his list here in Hollywood Studios, rope dropping. And good news, we did. And then lastly, again, since we had the park hopper option, I did leave these two days open to be able to park hop just in case we did not finish anything in these areas right here. And it just gave us the ability to go where we needed to finish what we needed to. And honestly, the way that I had planned out this trip just worked beautifully and seamlessly. And we got very, very lucky and we were able to get everything done at the exact way that I lined out the trip. I hope this gave you a little bit of insight in helping you plan for your upcoming trip. Please remember that there is no one way to plan a trip. Everybody tours the parks differently. They have different must-dos, and they also may double up on some parks and not visit other parks at all. But I gave you every little detail for each of the parks so that you know how to put your trip together. If you possibly need more help, I do have extra paid services where you can book a call with me. We can go over the plans and I can make sure that your trip is seamless and give you all of the insider tips that I know from going multiple times a year. And I will leave that linked in the description box below for you if you are interested. If you need more help planning your Walt Disney World Resort vacation, make sure that you are checking my Everything That You Need to Know playlist and go through everything, because it's literally going to take you through every step that you need for your upcoming Walt Disney World trip. If this video was helpful, please give it a like, and also consider subscribing as I take you all around Walt Disney World with tips, tricks, and reviews. And also don't forget to push that notification bell so you know when the next video comes out. I'm Terry with Creating the Magic. Have a magical day.